Hello friends, welcome to Renu's Englishpedia. For those who are new to the channel, my name is Mrs. Renu Bansal. I am a PGT who is involved in active teaching of classes 10th, 11th and 12th. Today we are going to study the chapter The Tiger King written by Kalki from the book Vistas. The full name of the author is Kalki Krishnamurti. He was born on September 9, 1899 and he died on December 5th, 1954. Kalki was an Indian writer, journalist, poet, critic and Indian independence activist who wrote in Tamil. Krishnamurti's writings include over 120 short stories, 10 novellas, 5 novels, 3 historical romances, editorial and political writings, and hundreds of film and music reviews. The Tamil Nadu government issued stamps in honor of Kalki. When preparing for your CBSE board exam, it is important to understand whether the title is justified or not. In order to know whether the title of this story is justified, we first need to know a brief summary of this chapter. The story starts with a prediction about the death of the king of Pratibandapuram by a tiger. A prediction is then made by the astrologers that the baby king will grow up to be a warrior of the warriors, but he will be killed by a tiger. To this, the baby king swears to kill 100 tigers, and when he grows up in his frenzy, he is as ferocious and ruthless as a tiger. Later on, he marries a princess only because her kingdom has a sizable population of tigers. He thus manages to kill 99 tigers. However, before he could kill the 100th tiger, he died as a wooden sliver from a wooden toy tiger pricks him, thus fulfilling the prophecy made at the time of his death. Now, since the story revolves around the king and the 100 tigers that he manages and also does not manage to kill, it could not be better titled than The Tiger King. Now, let us start with the main incidents of this chapter. The full name of the Tiger King was Jilani Jung Jung Bahadur. He was better known as Tiger King because he valorously killed many tigers with his bare hands at a very young age. The story begins with an announcement about the death of the king and then deals with the reason of his death. When the prince was born, astrologers predicted that he would grow up to be a great king, a champion of champions, hero of heroes, and warrior of warriors. But one day he will have to die as he is born under a specific star. Jung Jung Bahadur, who was only 10 days old, miraculously said, "Those who are born will one day have to die." He further said, one did not need predictions to prove that. It was indeed a precursor, which means forewarning, of his future brilliance. A 10-day-old baby not only speaking but asking such a rational, logical question was indeed an instance of brilliance. The astrologers were astonished to see the 10-day-old child speaking and, moreover, raising intelligent questions. The astrologers then stated that the prince was born under the hour of the bull. The bull and the tiger are enemies, therefore, the death will be caused by a tiger. On hearing this, the brave prince warned the tigers, "Let tigers beware." The crown prince Jung Jung Bahadur grew up tall and strong. He was brought up by an English nanny, drank the milk of an English cow, and was tutored by an Englishman. He further even saw English movies. Now, there is a very important question hidden here. Why is the upbringing of the Tiger King ironical? The answer to this question is India was colonized by the British. An Indian prince was brought up more naturally like a British citizen. This is ironic because a king's duty is to protect his country and its culture and traditions. Now, the state had been under the coat of wards since the prince was a minor. The state was ruled by the guardians. When the prince turned 20, the kingdom was handed over to him and he turned his attention to killing the tigers. Killing tigers is a crime against animals. But when the Maharaja heard about the prediction, he justified that to even kill a cow in self defense was not wrong, so there could be no objection to his killing a tiger. When the Tiger King was able to kill the first tiger very easily, the Prince Maharaja sent for the state astrologer and demanded an answer. The astrologer replied that he may kill 99 tigers, but he would have to be very careful of the 100th tiger. The Maharaja further challenged him that if he also killed the 100th tiger, then what? The astrologer replied that he would tear up all his books on astrology, set fire to them, cut off his tuft, crop his hair short, and become an insurance agent. This event then initiated a killing spree of the tigers. The state banned tiger hunting for everyone except the Maharaja. If anyone defied this law, his wealth and property would be confiscated. He denied permission to hunt a tiger or to even get a photograph with the hunted tiger to a British officer. However, he appeased the officer by agreeing to any other hunt. That is, he could go for a boar hunt, a mouse hunt, a mosquito hunt, but not a tiger hunt. In this way, he killed over 70 tigers within 10 years. When the tigers in his province became extinct, he decided he would marry so as to obtain a new province where he could kill tigers. He was thus able to kill 99 tigers in all, but the 100th tiger eluded him. This slide and the next slide talks about the reasons why we cannot consider the Maharaja of Pratibandapuram to be a good king. In this state of events, the Maharaja completely neglected his kingdom. It was the Maharaja's ambition to kill 100 tigers. Hence, he did not take any responsibility for the province's affairs and the functioning of the kingdom till he attained his ambition. When the British officer, who is called the Durai in the chapter, was denied permission to hunt, the Maharaja could have lost his throne, but he spent 3 lakh rupees on 50 diamond rings for the British officer's wife, who was called the Durai Sani, as compensation in order to retain his kingdom. Thus, for personal trivialities, the Tiger King was ready to put his kingdom at stake. At stake means at danger. He used the kingdom's resources for private benefits rather than for state development or for aiding his subjects. He also married just to get a new province for the hunting of tigers rather than for love or dharma, that is, to marry for the benefit of the kingdom. Moreover, it was extremely important for a king to marry and produce an heir for the throne. But the Tiger King postponed having an heir till his ambition was realized. When the king was unable to find the 100th tiger, he continued his search. He did not give up. He proclaimed that he would reward handsomely to anyone who gave him information of a tiger that he could kill. Now, a hillside village who was losing its sheep first ensured that the loss of the sheep was not the work of Khadir Mia Sahib or Virasamy Naikar. They then informed the king about the presence of a tiger in their village. The king was ecstatic and announced a 3-year exemption from the taxes. The king soon reached the village and began his search for the tiger. But when he was unable to locate the tiger, he got enraged. And as a result, he increased the taxes. That is, he doubled the land tax. He also rusticated the jobs of many officers. Instead of being patient and perseverant, the king had an uncontrollable anger. He became impatient, irrational, and was unable to take practical decisions. The Diwan of Pratibandapuram was quite intelligent as compared to the Tiger King, and he knew that there would be consequences of the search for this 100th tiger. According to the Diwan, increase in taxes would make the people of the state unhappy. It would lead to the falling of the state under the rule of the Indian National Congress, which was ultimately under the British rule. Since the Tiger King was losing all logical thought and reasoning, the Diwan, at the risk of his job, took the tiger which had been brought from the People's Park in Madras and left it where the king was hunting. The king saw the tiger and shot it, and the tiger surrendered to the king. The king believed that he had killed the 100th tiger, but in fact, the bullet had missed the tiger, and the tiger had just fainted from the shock of the bullet whizzing past it. In fear of losing their job, the hunters killed the tiger, but the king was kept under the belief by the hunters that he had successfully killed the 100th tiger and conquered his fate by escaping death. It is very important to remember here that the king had never killed the 100th tiger. In totality, he had killed only 99 tigers, and the 100th tiger was actually the wooden toy tiger which would ultimately succeed in killing the Tiger King. Having achieved his aim, the Maharaja now turned his attention towards his family. His son was 3 years old now. In his desire to kill 100 tigers, the Maharaja had completely ignored his son. He now wanted to buy some spectacular gift for his son. While searching for a gift, he spotted a wooden tiger in the market of Pratibandapuram and decided it was the perfect gift. Now, the actual cost of the wooden tiger was only 2 annas and a quarter. 4 annas means 25 paise. But the shopkeeper sold it to the king for rupees 300 as he was scared to quote a cheap price for an object that the king preferred. This again is an example of why the king was not a good administrator. The wooden tiger was carved by an unskilled carpenter, thus, its finishing was not refined. Since the wooden tiger was carved by an unskilled carpenter, its finishing was not refined, and a sliver, please be careful of the spelling here, it is SLIVER. It is not silver, it is sliver, SLIVER, which was protruding out of the tiger, pierced the king's right hand and caused an infection in it. In 4 days, it developed into a suppurating, that is, an oozing or festering sore, which spread all over the arm. 3 surgeons were brought in from Madras, but they were unable to save the king, and he died. They remarked that the operation was successful, implying that the prophecy had been fulfilled. Thus, the 100th tiger took his final revenge upon the king. The death of the king is highly ironical. By killing the tiger, the king thought that he was chasing away his death, but little did he realize that it was death that was following him. Had he not killed the tigers, he would have lived longer. The king himself invited his death. These incidents bring forth the character of the king very brutally. He is selfish, impulsive, as he takes decisions without thinking. He is adamant, corrupt, dishonest, short tempered, and likes sycophants. Sycophants means flatterers. He is not a good administrator, is irrational, superstitious, and is determined. We can see the use of comic irony throughout the chapter. Kalki has written this story in a very humorous manner, and there are many incidences which make us laugh. The first incident is when the king proposes to get married, and the divan assumes that the king wants to marry him. The king clarifies this assumption, but later on, again, the divan believes that the king wants to marry a tigress. Their ensuing dialogue leaves us in fits of laughter. The next incident is the way that the divan arranges a tiger and then drags and pushes it into the car, and then again in the forest when the tiger launched its satyagrah and refused to come out of the car. All these incidences and many others create a lot of humor in the story. The message in this story is very important. The Tiger King is a scathing criticism on the wanton manner in which the Tiger King goes on a tiger killing spree. This chapter tells us the importance of nature and the fact that it must be preserved and not decimated. Decimated means to be destroyed. Kalki has filled this story with irony and satire. The irony is revealed by the follies of autocratic and willful rulers who flout all laws and bend them to suit their selfish interests. The dramatic irony is sharp when the Tiger King alone is unaware that his bullet had not killed the hundredth tiger. The other characters and the readers anticipate his doom as he celebrates his triumph over his destiny. The king's pride at killing the first tiger was misplayed. The astrologer had prophesied, "You may kill 99 tigers like this, but your death will be brought on by the hundredth tiger." The king wanted to prove the astrologer wrong and to save his life. Ironically, instead of averting death, he actually invited it. The lofty titles used to introduce the Tiger King, suggesting an invincible ferocity, are indeed ironic, for he is finally killed by a cheap, crudely made wooden toy tiger, which became the tool of nature's revenge. He had killed 99 tigers and been the cause of death of another tiger in vain, and must be punished for it. Irony is indeed sharp when the surgeons announce the operation successful and declare the king dead. Irony means that when we expect something to happen, something completely different happens. It is completely unexpected, and generally it is a shock for all. On the other hand, satire employs irony, sarcasm, ridicule, etc. in exposing and criticizing follies, that means mistakes, and vices in men. The story uses humor criti- to criticize self seeking kings who willfully exploit both nature and their subjects for selfish interests. When the Maharaja of Pratibandapuram was told that he would be killed by a tiger, he could never imagine the twist in fate where a toy tiger would be fatal for him. Due to his conceit, he was unprepared for such surprises flung by life at him. The grandeur associated with the king's life proves to be a mockery. The news of the king's ailment invited not one but three surgeons. They got so tied up in technicalities that they declared the operation successful even though the king died. The story also satirizes the corrupting influence of power. Just because the Tiger King had power, he felt he could browbeat his subjects. Browbeat means to dominate and even defeat fate. He neglected his responsibilities as a ruler. He neglected the welfare of his subjects, his family, increased and reduced taxes at will, and sacked his officers. Sacked his officers means terminated the job of his officers. They feared him, and as a result, he never learnt the truth. When we see the king gloating over his bravery after killing the hundredth old weak tiger, we notice that Kalki is satirizing the notions of cowardice and bravery. There is no heroism in fighting an unequal battle. The king's cowardice was obvious when he justified that one may kill even a cow in self defense. Kalki is also criticizing the king's men and subjects who pander to his whims out of fear, or like the shopkeeper who manipulates and fools him. With this, we come to the end of the video. I hope that you liked it and would be encouraged to share it with your friends. Please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as I really need the encouragement this provides. Also, do not forget to press the bell icon for further notifications, as I am going to come up with several videos which will help you to revise and achieve your desired grades in the forthcoming board examination. Thank you.